Welcome to another video brought to you by twopeasinabucket.com. This week is the fourth and final week of Fall Stamp Camp here at Two Peas in a Bucket. This week we're focusing on using background stamps for scrapbook layouts. You could use the same technique shown for cards as well, but I thought it would be fun to show you how to create some of your own pattern papers for scrapbooking. The first thing I'm doing is I already pre-cut 12 of these rectangles out of smooth cream cardstock, and I'm going to color them using the foam blending tool by Ranger and some Distress inks by Tim Holtz. This is the Marmalade, the orange colored Distress ink, and you just want to start with the Distress ink off the edge of your project and then kind of work it on. So I'm just getting a little bit more, and you can see I start off of the edge, and that way you can see the edge is a lot darker than the middle of my piece, and I just kind of keep working it on until I get a look that I like. So I'm creating my own colors of pattern paper here. So you can see it's a little bit lighter there in the center and darker around the edges. So once I have that blended how I want it, I'm going to take a background stamp and I'm going to ink it up with the same color of Distress ink I used with the foam blending tool, but now I'm going to ink up my stamp with it. And this is the Modern Line stamp from Hero Arts. So just making sure I get that all inked up, and then I'm going to stamp it right over that rectangle there. Then when I lift it up, you can see I have a nice tone-on-tone little piece of pattern paper. I really like the tone-on-tone look, so that's kind of what I went with here, but you could also use a different color of ink if you wanted to. I did 3 of the pieces of cardstock that way, and now I'm going to do several in another color, and this is the Scattered Straw. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm just working the ink on. You can see it's a little bit lighter in the middle. I just kept working it on until I got the color I wanted. And then this is the Antique Brocade background stamp from Hero Arts. It's in one of their newer stamps. And I'm again going to ink it up with that same color of ink, Scattered Straw. And I'm going to stamp that right over that piece I blended with the foam blending tool. I really like that. That gives a nice, you can see it's a little shiny and a little dark here, but as it dries, it really kind of fades and it gives a really nice distressed sort of feel, pattern paper look. And here I'm taking the Vintage Photo Distress ink and doing the same thing. Just going to work that in really good until I kind of get the color I want. And I believe this cling stamp is called Antique Writing, and it is one of their newer designs, and it's a big one. So I'm going to take that and their 6-inch acrylic block mount. I'm going to just adhere that cling stamp right there, and I'm going to ink it up with the Vintage Photo ink and stamp it right over my little piece of paper. So I'm creating all kinds of different little pieces of my own pattern paper using stamps and ink. So here's 3 of them right here. And I'm just doing 3 of each color. So I've got 9 total, and I wanted to add just a little bit more color. So I'm going to use some of the peeled paint, and I'm going to stamp a few more. I'm just starting off of the edge and working it on. This peeled paint is one of my very favorite colors. I love this green. And this is another new cling stamp from Hero Arts, and this is the Flourishes. Really like this. This is a nice one. You can use it for so many different things. I'm going to ink that up, and then I'll stamp it right over my green piece. And I'll repeat that a couple more times. And there you can see what it looks like a little bit closer. Just nice tone-on-tone pattern papers. And I wanted to create a couple of accents for my page as well, so I have a little bit leftover cardstock And you can see if you have a big piece like this, you can just put the piece of paper right on your background stamp and then just kind of, make sure and press it on there really good to get a nice stamped image. That's another way of stamping with your background stamps. And I'm just doing a few extra pieces here because I'm going to create some paper piecings out of these pumpkin stamps from Hero Arts. So I'm just repeating the same thing I did for my background pieces for the background of the layout, but I'm going to stamp the pumpkins right over these and then cut them out and piece them together. So now I'm going to just take these pumpkin stamps from Hero Arts and I'm going to stamp them. I'm going to stamp make one pumpkin yellow and one orange, and then I just stamp the stem part on the green, and then I'm going to cut all of these pieces out. And then I will just adhere the stem right over the piece here like you can see, and I just use some liquid glue to adhere those. Just gives a nice little interest of color there. And closer up you can see that the pumpkins then have the design in them. It's just a really nice look. And I thought they needed just a little bit more distressing or coloring, so I'm taking some vintage photo ink and I'm just going to rub that into the edges there. That just kind of helps shade those pumpkins just a little bit. I'm going to continue to work that ink in until I get the look that I want. And I use vintage photo a lot. It's my favorite out of the distress inks for things like this, like to distress edges of paper or whatnot. Just going to work that down the sides, and then that one will be all inked and ready to go. And then here's what they look like up close, and you can see those patterns, the modern lines and the antique brocade. So here's what my background looks like. I just kind of randomly adhered those first stamped rectangles to a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock to make my own background for my page. And then I wanted to add a topper for my photo and journaling piece. And so I'm just going to, again, I cut these 1 inch by 10.5 inch strips and rounded the top corners. And I'm inking it with the scattered straw and the antique brocade again. And you can see the stamp doesn't quite go all the way across. And this stamp's really great because unless you look really close, like I'm not lining it up perfectly using a Stamp-A-Majig or anything, but unless you look really close, you can't really tell that it's not, perfectly aligned. I just kind of eyeballed it, stamp that down like that, and it looks great. And then I'm going to ink the edge with the rounded corners with some vintage photo ink, just for a little help it pop off the background. And there's the piece that's going to go on the top and the bottom of the page. And then I simply embellished, and that was it. Thanks for watching another week of Stamp Camp here at 2peasinabucket.com. For more information, please visit the Education Board. Thanks.